Hi guys, it's Maaike. Today I'm back with an interactive card with Your Next Stamp 1 in a Chameleon and the Joycrafts spinner set. But first I'm going to make the background, and has to be a square. So I chose 10 by 10 centimeters. 10.5 is my card base, so I could have done it 10.5, but I thought it's easier to find the middle. I think maybe I did 10.5. Well, doesn't matter, just find the middle. And then I trace lines to make pies, 8 colors, and then I know where to apply distress inks. And sorry for my raspy voice, but I have 8 compartments and I have 8 distress inks. So candied apple, carved pumpkin, mustard seed, twisted citron, mowed lawn, blueprint sketch, wilted violet, and picked raspberry. I wasn't sure about the blueprint sketch. Maybe there's a really seamless transition between the blue and the green, but it turned out fine. And then I'm kind of erasing the lines because you will see them through the lighter colors anyway, so I want to make sure they disappear. And then I'm just applying the inks in rainbow order. I got the idea, I think, from the Lawn Font channel, where they use their little chameleon. I don't have that set, so I used what I have. And that probably would have been better with this Joycrafts interactive spinner because it's quite small. But instead I used a scalloped circle that's, well, actually 4 inches. It's just a little bit smaller than my panel, and my panel is 10.5 centimeters. I went back and checked, and I die cut that, and then I can use a little scalloped edge to turn it. And you don't actually need it because I made a spinner card like this before with just a straight edge. And I forgot that maybe it was handy to die cut the little slot from the card base as well. So I did that by hand, and then I cut through my nice rainbow panel. So yeah, don't mind that. I also got a smudge for some reason. That always happens, but I left it. And I fixed that little cut that I made with some scotch tape, and it's fine. And my scallop edge didn't die, it was a bit bowed, so I didn't die cut this panel very well. I had to go back and forth, and I think it shifted, so I also didn't die cut properly. So by that time I was indifferent. No, I still like it. And yeah, as I said, the idea is not mine. It was from Lawn Font, but I liked it so much. I just looked at the stuff that I have. What can I use in my stash? And you're gonna use the little windows that come in the set and just make it a rainbow that goes by, or just stamp some text in there, but I kind of like the chameleon. So that's my 8 colors, and I go back with the previous sometimes to blend the two out. But because I'm hiding it behind the window, you won't see much of it. And this is that Joycrafts set. And it actually has the center attached to it, which is quite nice. But you can see how much smaller it is than my card base or card panel. And I actually measured it if it would fit my image, and maybe it would have, but yeah. It doesn't look like it will if you look from there. So I'm gonna use a normal die scalloped edge, and then I'll just have to find the center. And there's some strange, really sharp bits there. I think that's why I didn't cut anymore. Not sure if that's because of my precision base, but I stabbed myself some time with that. So I did put the pencil mark in there so I know where the center is, and see I'm tidying it up where it didn't die cut very well. But then I transfer the mark on the panel so I know where to stamp my little chameleon. And for it I'm using the Versafine Clear Onyx, no not Clear, Nocturne ink. Versafine Clear Nocturne ink. So you have to make sure that he fits, because even this one was quite touch and go. But yeah. So if you have the coordinating dies for this set, then you can just die cut him out and make a window. I don't have that set because I have a scan and cut, and I use that, but you can also die cut it by hand, of course. And by die cutting by hand I mean of course fussy cut it or use your craft knife. And I also need the image stamped on some acetate, and for that I'm using Stays On. And there were hairs, so I cleaned the stamp again. I didn't want any smudges. I got smudges on the other one, but then I'm going to cut it out and use the negative, so that wasn't very important, but it is here. And if you use Versafine Onyx Black ink, you know that the Maybe Clear also does that it leaves little fuzzies behind on your stamp, and that transfer the next time you use it, in case you don't clean your stamps, and I don't, so not all the time. I wipe them, but I don't really clean them. So I leave that to dry, and the Stays On of course dries on acetate. And this one I will just go and cut it with my scanner. And as I say, you can cut it by hand or use the coordinating dies if you have those, but I do not. So for the sentiment I'm going to use You Color My World, but any that is in the set would work properly. And because the window is in the left side, I'm going to do the sentiment on the right side, just to balance it up. And I'm using the grid to get it straight, but yeah, it wasn't straight. Sometimes, maybe because the paper moved, I don't know, because it slanted a little bit. But again, I left it because I don't think that's where people will be looking at. They will look at the window. I hope anyway. So after I made the window, of course I need to put in the stamped acetate or panel back, so you have this expression and outlines, and I think that makes the card. But I also need to make the notch for that scalloped circle thing that we made. And I die cut it from the panel, but I didn't die cut it from the card base, which I would suggest you would do, because it makes turning it a little bit easier. And there's of course windows, and there's also cupcakes included in the set, but the windows are not what I wanted. I wanted really the chameleon changing color. And there's also a sentiment in the set that says don't ever change. So I have these breads, they're from Craft Sensations, and they're actually matte, and my enamel dots are not, but I'm not going to hide the bread, so I used a nice purple one. And I do have the Nouveau drops that are matte, but not in primary colors, and so I just used normal ones, shiny ones. So that's the middle again. I know where to put the bread, but it also has to go through the acetate, which, you know, my craft pick won't do. First I'm going to put some double-sided adhesive, like with the shaker card, around the window, just to keep the acetate in place. And I thought it was way too difficult to try and cut it so tightly that it avoids the center bits. So instead I used a punch screw or screw punch that is actually meant for leathers and belts to make holes in it, but I use it on my card. So now I'm looking where I need to cut it. I did keep it as a one sheet, just so I have enough. And before I considered my screw punch thingy, I was trying to determine where the hole was on the acetate, which was of course not at all necessary. And yeah, I thought about cutting it out, but you know, these are all kind of steps, that mistakes that you don't have to do anymore after I've done them. And of course you can make the window any shape that you like. If you have dies that match any stem set, that's really handy. Or if you have like hearts, maybe for Valentine's Day. You color my word, actually I think might be suitable for Valentine. And here's the screw punch. I figured I'd just use the big one. So I don't want to press too hard and indent the paper, but then you have to do it a few times, but that's okay. See? And yeah, I just used a big one. As I said, I'm not hiding it, so I think it might be a design element. And here you can see I'm turning it. It's so cute, and I think it's actually perfect for the chameleon. And then to make sure it kind of swivels better, I'm just mounting the foam tape around the wheel, making sure it doesn't touch the wheel and catches it. Yeah, I was showing you that there's still, where one of those scallops is, there's a little bit of a hole, but don't look too closely. And I thought I used a little bit more just to support it. I did use a sturdy cardstock, but just to be safe, because that wheel isn't supported at all. So that's quite a big area for the card not to bend in the middle, I guess. And then so here I forgot to put the indentation in the card base. I don't think you actually need it, but it does make turning it a little bit easier. So what I did is trace it, the die with a pencil, and then cut it by hand. And because you know you can't put it through the die cutting machine anymore. And yeah, I die cut through the scalloped wheel a little bit. So I fixed that with Scotch tape. So just saying, make sure you put the indentation in before you put the card together. See, if you ever make a card like this, I mean, I thought I was being careful, but I wasn't. Here we are. But yeah, luckily there was enough room for me to just put a little bit of tape in, and then I cut off the bits that stick out. See, after all this effort that you put in, you don't really want to start again, do you? So after this last yeah, hurdle, I think the card is finished. There you can see how he changes color, and I just love it. So thank you for watching. I hope you will give this a try, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.